Hello, this is Anna from Madame So. Today we're gonna tackle a chore that's been on my list for a long time. My sewing machines have been either naked or covered with tea towels for years, and it's time to make some new covers. So we're gonna make a quilted one. You don't have to quilt your fabric if you don't want to. You can just interface it to give it a little structure, or you can buy pre-quilted fabric, although you're narrowing your options. But don't be afraid. Look at our tutorials. If you've never quilted, for something like this, it's very, very easy. So it's worth a try. So let's get to it. The first thing we're going to do is measure the machine. And machines can have really odd angles and things that stick out. So I'm going to show you a couple of tricks to deal with that. First measurement is the combined height and width, and you have to make sure that you're choosing the tallest point. And this machine happens to be flat, but there are lots of machines that will have like thread spools hanging out, so you have to measure over those to make sure you're getting something accurate. And also at the widest point, which in this machine is here. In my case is 26.5, so just make sure you make a note of that. And for this measurement, we're going to divide it by 2, and then we are going to add 2 inches to it. That's going to be our ease and our seam allowances. You can also round up or down to the nearest half an inch if you have like 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch results. Just round it up, make it easy on yourself. It doesn't have to be super exact. And now, usually this is the tricky part. Like on my machine, first thing we need to take into account, it's the wheel. We can't forget that because it does stick out and it does add to the size. And then on my machine, you can see that this part is wider than this. And I'm gonna have to take that into account. So this is how I'm gonna do it. Have some tape, and I'm gonna find a convenient spot to tape it down. And now here I have the problem with the wheel. So what I'm going to do is use this ruler so that I can get this depth here at the bottom. So I'm just going to take the ruler to the wheel. Now I can just gently go around. And now when I get to this spot over here, again, actually I don't even need to. I can just hold it. I don't even need to tape it. I can just hold it with my hand. There we go. So 45 3/4. And with this number, we're just going to add 3 inches. And now the last one we're going to do, which is pretty simple, is just measure at the widest point, which is usually not very troublesome. And mine is 7 3/4. All right, so the measurements I came up with are 15.5. That's going to be the width, and 49 for my length. And so this is my lining piece. Your lining piece is going to be cut to those measurements because you're not going to quilt it, so you don't need to worry about losing any sizing. This one is already folded. It's ready to be seamed here. So it's folded in half, and I've already pinned it, and it's ready. I'm going to make a seam here. And here is my main fabric that I have already quilted. So your main fabric, you need to add 2 inches to those measurements. So to those 15.5, I've added 2 inches, and to the 49, I've added another 2 inches. For your batting, 3 inches, because you want the batting to always be a little bigger than your fabric, so you have like room to maneuver. So what we're going to do now is, now that it's quilted, and if you need any help with the quilting, we have tutorials on YouTube and on the blog. Just do a quick search and you'll find them. And also they're linked on the blog post where this video is. So we're going to cut this piece to our measurements. So we're going to fold it in half, okay? And we're just going to make a 1/2 inch seam on this end. All right, so we did the seams, the side seams, and the next is going to be a seam at the top. Now, as you can see, I've chosen to center my seam on the back of my bag. Okay, this side is going to be the back, this is going to be the front, and same with the main fabric. On my lining, it doesn't matter which side is the top because it's not a directional print. On my main fabric, however, I need to make sure that I am making my seam right here so that my print is the right way up. Okay, so here we are. We did our top seam and I've pressed it open, clipped my corners all the way to the edge. So now let's make the box corners. So you're going to put your hand in your bag that you made, bring the seam towards you, and now spread your hand out. So you're sort of trying to make a right angle here. And I'm just going to use my mat to kind of gauge it. All right, that looks about right. And now is when you're going to use that other measurement. The last one we took, which was the width at the widest point. Mine was 8. So I'm going to use the center point of that, which is 4. I'm going to lay the 4-inch line on my seam and now move my ruler up or down until the corner is at the edge, and then I'm going to make sure that the 8 is on this edge, which clearly is not, which means I need to readjust this. I have to get some fabric from this side over to the other side. All right, so let's do that. And this, you know, it might be a process. It may take a few tries. You may get it right at on the first one. Okay, let me see how it looks now. 4 on my line. And oh, look at that. There we go. That's what we're looking for. I'm going to mark this line. So I'm going to put a few pins right on the stitching line because I want to try it on the machine. No, just to make sure nothing is too narrow, too wide, that things look good. Because, you know, sometimes you need to adjust this measurement and just make it a little narrower or a little wider. So it's a good idea to just try it on the machine and see. So do the other corner, pin it, and go try it on your machine. And of course, you'll have to do the same thing with the lining. So do both, try it on the machine. You only need to try the big one on the machine. If it looks good, just use the same measurement for the lining. And then the next step is the only one that's a little mind-bending. So let's do this and then we'll come back. All right, so we have all our corners sewn. We're just going to trim them, press them open, and then I'm going to show you how to work on the handle. So this is pretty thick fabric, so I think a 1/2 inch seam allowance is a good idea. Obviously, you can't open these seams unless you clip the corner. So don't be a chicken, go all the way to the edge. Now just give it some steam and press it open. To mark the handle on the lining, you need to lay it on top of the machine. So we're going to put it on wrong side up because this is how it's going to go on the machine. Okay, it's going to have the cover on top, so the right side is facing down. Now just lay it on top, sort of place it, make sure that your back seam is towards the back. Okay, now lay it on, make sure that it looks okay. No, all right, that looks like a good position. Everything is nice. All right, and now you're gonna have to feel with your fingers a little bit. My machine, let me just show you, happens to have this sort of seam here from the flap, and that's exactly where the beginning of the handle is. So I'm going to use these. I'm going to feel these. Most machines have some sort of seam on top, so chances are yours has it too. But if not, it can't be too hard. Just, you know, flip the handle a little bit and feel with your fingers. I'm going to place my top seam right on that, you know, seam, and I am going to feel where my handle is, and I'm just going to put a pin right there. I'm going to go to the other side. my lining is so thin that I can even see it. So mark this. Okay, and now I'm going to remove it and just measure. I think a 1/2 inch should be okay, but I'm going to measure the width of the handle. Now my handle happens to be a little wider on the top, and while I could, probably just force the fabric open a little bit, I'm just going to use that wider measurement, and that is 3/4 of an inch. Okay. And I am going to mark that on the lining itself. Can you see how the handle is not centered? No, it's towards this side. So never assume that your handle is going to be in the middle. You really have to try it on the machine, because it usually is never in the middle because of balance reasons. The machine is heavier on one side than on the other. 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to place it where I put my first pin. I'm going to remove the pin and mark the line. And I'm going to make sure that the other side, my 3/4 inch mark, is also laying on the seam. I'm going to mark this rectangle right here, and I'm just going to slide my ruler all the way to the other pin, remove it, and mark it down. And now the bottom of my rectangle is going to be this seam, which I don't really need to mark, but I will. I think it will help me visualize this. We're going to cut in the middle of the rectangle. So that will be 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to mark my line, and it's coinciding with the edge of the seam. I'm going to have to trim that seam. Okay. And now I'm going to mark from the angles of my rectangle to that line. What I'm going to cut is this, along this line and down to the corners, but not yet. For placement, let's just try it onto the machine. So right side is out. I have the front and the back where I want them, I believe, because I can't really see any seams anywhere. Yes, there we go. And now we're going to place the lining on top. So they are right sides together. Okay. And it's just a little easier to do it like this. And now we can pull it off and make sure that our corners match. So I have my finger in this corner, now in this corner, just matching all of them. Okay, and I'm going to put a few pins. I'm going to trim this little flap here because it really is in my way. I'm just going to trim it a little bit, and then we're going to sew right on that line. That's going to mark our opening, and we're going to sew right on it. Now we're just going to cut. I am going to use a ruler and a small rotary cutter, even though it's a lot of layers, but I need to have some precision here. Okay, let's see. All right. And I can always go in with the scissors. Now I'm going to cut to the corners. And now the magic. We're going to flip the liner, and we're just going to push it through the hole. All right, there's your handle opening. So we have a couple more steps. We have to realign those corners like we did before. And now we need to press this towards the inside. You can do a little finger pressing first, rolling the lining to the back a little bit. So now turn it inside out to the lining and pull a little bit while you press. And the last step for the handle is to top stitch. So we're going to use the same edge joining foot we were using and just going to top stitch all around. Last step, we're going to finish the bottom with some bias tape. So first thing we need to do is turn the lining towards the outside because it's our lighter fabric. Make sure the corners are nicely matched. Okay, this is the last chance you get to make sure everything is in the right place. Put a few pins around the whole perimeter just to make sure that, you know, things stay in place while you're attaching that binding. Of course, you can use whichever way of binding you like, but you know what I like, right? My fabulous binding foot. And it comes in 2 sets. You can either get it from Madame Saw's 32 presser feet set or from the bias tape making kit. So, you know, it's very easy. There's already a tutorial, or a couple of tutorials actually, both on YouTube and on the blog, and they're linked on the blog post. So, you know, refer to those if you have any trouble finishing it. I'm going to go do that, and then I'm going to show you how it looks on the machine. Here it is. I think it looks good, right? And look at how nice the binding looks. It's so easy with that foot. Look at that. Perfect inside, outside. Not a stitch skipped. Just perfect. So, let's see how it looks on the machine. Pretty nice, I think. So, I hope you try it. It's an easy pattern, and you know, it lends itself to a lot of customization. You could add a pocket. You could skip the lining altogether and just use a small facing up here. You know, the process is the same. Anyway, if you have any questions, let us know in the comments. And as always, please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. We hope to see you in the next one.